Stop walking 10,000 steps to get lean. Instead, I want you to walk 15,000 steps to get lean. And I'm gonna show you how this method is guaranteed for you to finally lose your belly fat, your love handles, and your chest fat. I know this because over the last decade, I've coached thousands of clients. And when we've hit this number, their weight has melted off. Not only that, I'm gonna share with you 15 hacks to hit the 15,000 steps without wasting your time. And even if you use 3 of the 15 hacks, you will see how easy it is. I know this because even my 59-year-old mother hit the 15,000 steps and she's dropped 40 pounds. But not only that, she's reversed her diabetes. She's also gotten off all blood pressure medication. And I know this is the final key necessary for you to unlock the weight. I'm gonna prove to you how the science supports this and how it's easy to integrate into your life. So I highly recommend you watch the video to the end. And I have proof because over the last 30 days, I set myself the challenge to walk a minimum of 15,000 steps, and it was effortless. I actually managed to hit more than 15,000 on average. Let's not waste time and let's dive straight in. Now, the science behind 10,000 steps and why you've heard this number more than 15,000 is that number one, it's amazing for marketing. And according to your height and weight, on average, an adult can burn 500 calories. And if you walk 10,000 steps daily and you keep your diet the same, at the very least, you should lose a pound of fat. But what if we increase that number by 50%? That means per week, we should be able to lose an extra 1.5 pounds of fat. And if you've been stalled in terms of your weight loss, this is the final key necessary to push you into a caloric deficit. Not only that, I highly recommend walking more than doing cardio because research has shown that it taps mainly into fat stores. It is also less painful on your joints. And what I found over the last 30 days anecdotally is that I actually eat less. When you do formal cardio like cardio on a treadmill, or you go running or Stairmaster, these forms of cardio, this formal cardio tends to spike your hunger, which sometimes will put you out of a caloric deficit because you have this insight to be able to eat more. So 15 steps and just walking it is the easiest thing. And let's get into the 15 hacks that you can do to be able to hit that 15,000 effortlessly. So the first thing, or hack number 0, I want you to go on Amazon to have this tool in your back pocket. This is the minimum investment I want you to make in your health. And if you find the tips I'm going to share with you useful, share this with a friend, because as a doctor, I just want to see people reverse the obesity and get healthy. And I promise if you want to get lean, this is all you need to do. On Amazon, search walking pad. That's all you need to do. And they're $100. There's walking pads on there for $100. The one I use is Urevo, and you can just choose the one with the best reviews at the cheapest price. And that's the minimum thing. If you can get one for your living room and one for your office, even better. And this is one of the tools. And if you don't have $100, you can get a stepper that allows you to hit the steps. But hack number 1, now that we have that out of the way, is that when you're in the gym, between your exercises, instead of being on your phone, I want you to walk between sets. An average training plan has about 20 sets in there, which means in between every set, instead of sitting down, I want you to walk. So if you walk for 60 seconds, which is the usual rest time of every set, do that 20 times, that's equivalent to 20 minutes. That means you will get 2,000 steps. And for context, I've seen this and tested it time and time again. The average walking rate, 10 minutes of walking will give you 1,000 steps, and I'm going to show you how to manipulate this number. So every workout, you should come out of the gym with an extra 2,000 steps at minimum. Hack number 2, I want you to Netflix and walk. Netflix is one of the most popular platforms for you to watch series. So if you have a walking pad like I do, you can watch a Netflix series, and instead of being seated on the couch, you can walk. This is an easy hack. If you're watching a 30-minute episode, this can give you 3,000 steps. If you're into anime like me, you can watch a 20-minute episode and walk. And this is what we call habit stacking, and it's such a powerful tool. So I know you spend time watching Netflix. Why not burn calories and hit that 15,000 step mark? And now, before I go into hack number 3, for all of you who may feel like, Mike, that's extremely difficult for me to do, what you can also do is think of it this way. You can shift a good portion of the steps you have to do to the weekend instead. And instead of thinking of hitting the 15,000 steps, what you can do is take 15,000, multiply that by 7, and that's the total amount of steps that you need to hit in the week. And instead, you just need to focus on hitting that total number per week, then you can shift a lot of your step work to be done over the weekend. Let's move on to hack number 3. Every 30 minutes, I want you to go on a 5-minute walk. When I was studying and becoming a doctor, I used to do a technique called Pomodoro, and it was a focusing technique that allowed me to get into deep work and flow state. And what this technique requires is 25 minutes of pure hard focus work, and research shows that you tend to start losing focus after about 30 minutes. So if you focus for 25 minutes while you're working, in the last 5 minutes, then I want you to get up and go for a walk so you can be productive. Now, let's do the math. Let's say you work 12 hours per day and you're walking 5 minutes every 30 minutes, which means you're walking a total of 10 minutes every hour. This way, over 12 hours, you would have accumulated 120 minutes, which means you'd have walked 12,000 steps just walking 5 minutes every 30 minutes at work. So even if you have a desk job, you're not productive if you're sitting 1 hour straight. So do that and you can easily do 12,000 steps in the day. And what's amazing about this rule is you're chopping up the 15,000 steps and you're spreading it throughout your day. And you will notice that after a week, this will actually become habitual. Not only is it amazing for fat loss, this is what the quote unquote, I have a high metabolism people do. They just move more and they fidget more. Hack number 4, walk 10 minutes after every meal. We want to be able to have a meal and digest properly. And we also want to reduce the insulin spike. Insulin is a fat storing hormone. Although it does have many benefits, we need insulin. It's extremely important. But when your insulin is high, that means you're not losing any fat. But we can decrease the insulin spike by going on a walk after every meal. So if you have breakfast, if you have lunch and you have dinner and you walk for 10 minutes after every one of those meals, that means that's 3,000 steps. But the benefit, aside from just the walking, is that it's going to decrease your insulin spike, because technically what you're doing is you're already putting the food to work. You're improving the digestion of that food. You're improving your overall blood flow. Hack number 5. Many people take phone calls which will last about 5 to 10 minutes. So instead of sitting down and taking a phone call, establish the habit of getting up and taking a phone call. So if you have 2 calls that are 5 minutes every day, that means you can get 1,000 steps just doing that. So when you get a phone call, go for a walk. Hack number 6. This one is going to the gym and going back. If your gym is 10 minutes away, that means you can get 1,000 steps going to the gym and you can get 1,000 steps coming back. That's an easy way for you to get 2,000 steps. And instead of driving your car to the gym, if you can, just walk to the gym and back. Now, before I continue, if you guys have found this information to be helpful, I promise you from 7 to 15 is going to be amazing, because I'll even show you how to hit more than 1,000 steps per 10 minutes. Leave the video the gentle thumbs up and let me know which one of these are you combining to utilize yourself. Let's move on. Now, let's imagine you're in the gym. We don't just want to go into the set and just start exercising. You need to be able to warm up the target muscle, and this is going to help you dramatically in terms of, number 1, reducing the risk of injury, but also priming your muscle by driving blood into the tissue before doing the heavy sets that you need to. So I want you to do a 15-minute warm up, and you can do this on a treadmill. So go on the treadmill before lifting the weights and just warm up for 15 minutes. You're more than welcome to increase the incline just to improve blood flow. But if you do the 15-minute warm up, you're going to get 1,500 steps in the process. And the second tip I also want to give you here, this is number 8, is do a 15-minute warm down. If you just do 7 and 8, this will give you 3,000 steps. Now, before I move on to number 9, I know there are going to be people in the comments, I don't have time, it's too busy. That's 2.5 hours worth of walking. Number 1, if you're watching this video and you want to get lean, I'm telling you the truth. People do 10,000 steps and get frustrated. I'm telling you the truth of what's required. This way you can set up your expectations and you can also challenge yourself. With many of my clients, we will actually start at a 10,000 number, and the objective will be to get to 15,000 and even more. Listen to what my mom had to say and how she started with her cardio routine. What did you do for cardio in the beginning?
I was going to the gym almost 1 hour and a half every day, Monday to Friday. Okay. And also I must do my steps.
What are your steps?
In the beginning, it was I started with 5 kilometers.
And steps, how many steps do you know, remember?
No, I remember by kilometers. 2 weeks, increased by 7 kilometers.
But your 5 kilometers, it was 10,000 steps as a translation. And then we increased it from 10,000 to 11,000 to 13,000 to 14,000, and then
17,000.
you even went as high as 17,000 steps. Now, how did you get those steps? What were you doing in the day to get the steps?
After I was going more early to the gym.
Okay, so you're waking up early and going to gym.
Yeah, and then before I start with my trainer, I walk maybe 4 or 5 kilometers.
How many minutes? Do you remember? Do you remember?
Almost 1 hour
So you'd walk 1 hour before training.
before training.
Nice.
1 hour.
Any incline or just flat?
No, both of them.
Okay,
Incline,
up and down.
I do 15 minutes, go back
Okay.
to flat, and then when I'm the cardio, I want to do my heart rate to be higher, and then I say, let me put it up, and then I do my work proper.
With that being said, if you want to work with a team of medical doctors who are going to do a blood panel diagnosis, and you also want to be held accountable and you've tried many things in the past, I welcome you to go in the description of the video and fill out a short application to work with me and my team and see if it's a good fit. Now, let's move on into number 9. Personally, what I found hitting 15,000 steps daily for the last 30 days is getting it done in the morning is the easiest. So I recommend just waking up 30 minutes sooner than you usually do to be able to hit your steps. It's an amazing way to improve your mental health, to improve blood flow, and to wake up. You can go on a walk outside, or you can simply just use your walking pad indoors if you are living in a cold country. So going on a morning walk for 30 minutes will give you 3,000 steps. But if you decide that you want to do 60 minutes, you can do 6,000 steps. And that way you're almost halfway in terms of the numbers that you need to hit. So a morning walk is an amazing way, and you simply just need to wake up in the morning, put on pants, put on shoes, and go for a walk. Now, number 10, please get a walking pad. It is going to be a game changer. And I want you to get a walking pad in your office if you can, because we're going to use it in the next steps that I'm going to share with you. When you're watching TV, instead of sitting on the sofa, walk. When you're with your kids and they're playing around, you can use the walking pad. Or if you're in your office, you can utilize the walking pad. And what I've also found is that it actually encourages everybody in your family to use it, because they start becoming more health conscious. And again, for all of those who are about to complain that 15,000 is too much, whenever I've done a step challenge with my clients, I have seen that their steps increase by 15%, because what happens is that they've just become more conscious of their movement. The reason people are getting so fat is because you're sitting and doing nothing. So start establishing the habit of moving more. And what this step challenge does with my clients is that it establishes a healthy habit of their body moving more. They actually don't feel great when they stop moving less, and they maintain this. And what's also amazing about walking the 15,000 steps, and I tell them this is their insurance policy into the future, because it will always tap into fat stores. So even if you have a cheat meal, or if you weren't great on your diet on a particular day, you can trust that the walking is actually going to save you. And I actually just had a client sign up because he told me he couldn't train because of an injury, but he walked, and he already lost 10 pounds before he came to us. So I highly recommend the walking pad. Hack number 11. I want you to go on an evening walk or an afternoon walk, and you can do this with your partner in the evening. And this way you can exercise, you can have the conversations, you can catch up, and this is healthy for your relationship. It's healthy for your mindset, but also 1 hour of walking will give you 6,000 steps. And again, keep watching, because I'm going to show you how you can actually do 12,000 steps in an hour. Number 12, walking during a Zoom call. Many people today are taking a lot of meetings on Zoom, and you spend a lot of times there. And I tell my clients all the time, hey, in this hour meeting we had, you could have gotten 6,000 steps. So this walking pad, you can put it under your desk, and you don't necessarily have to go quick where it's difficult for you to do work. So a lot of the times I get people saying, hey, Dr. Mike, yes, in some meetings you can take it, it may look unprofessional, but in many where you're just listening, walking, you don't have to go very quickly. You can just go at 3 kilometers an hour, which is roughly like 1.2, 1.3 miles per hour, but you don't don't have to walk fast as long as you're accumulating steps, and I want you guys to gamify it. So if you have a 30-minute Zoom call, that's 3,000 steps. If you have an hour or 2-hour Zoom call, that's 6,000, 12,000 steps. And again, you don't have to be going fast. Sometimes I even forget that I'm actually walking. Another tool I used is an app called Pedometer Plus Plus, and this was amazing for motivating me and holding me accountable, and I'll explain how. Number one, I love the feature that it showed you how many streaks, how many walking streaks you had. And I realized I've never gone above 20 days of walking my step count, and then that's what motivated me to actually hit 30. Not only that, I love the widget that you get on the Apple Watch that shows up like a health bar of how close or how far you are to your steps. And what I've realized with a lot of people is that because walking is behind your mind, it's not at top of mind, we're very unconscious of how little our body's moving. So having this as the main widget on my Apple Watch actually always reminded me like, hey Mike, move more. So it was really amazing at holding me accountable. Let's move on into the next step. Number 13, if you have a desk job, everybody has a 1-hour lunch, and it should take you anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes of having lunch. And I want you to go on a lunch stroll middle of the day, and this will be amazing for you. And let's say you have an hour, 45 minutes of that hour, you can get 4,500 steps. Number 14, I call it the parking lot strategy or parking far. Just establish the habit of really parking your car at distance from where you're staying. And this will allow you to get an extra 500 steps going to the car or going from the grocery store to your car and back. And this will give you an extra 1,000 steps easy. And then this is the one and the final tip that you can do to be able to boost your number of steps. So in my experience, if you walk about 3 kilometers per hour, this will give you the 10 minutes of walking will give you 1,000 steps. But if you double your speed, that means you double the amount of steps that you get per minute. So simply just doubling the speed, the normal walking speed, which you're seeing here on the screen, will allow you to go from 1,000 steps per minute to 2,000 steps per minute. So yes, this is the final one. And if you're going on that evening walk, you can go on an evening jog instead and just double your speed. And in an hour, you can go from 6,000 steps to 12,000. So you can even just do the hour run. And I did say you don't have to do cardio, but if you're pressed for time, this is the simple way that you can boost how much walking you can get in an hour. So on some days of my 30-day challenge, when I was pressed for time, I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna go on an hour jog and I'm gonna walk really quickly, take a break when I need to get that 10,000 steps if I needed to on average. Now that's all you need to do. I am challenging you to walk 15,000 steps, and I want you to come back to this video in a month, and I dare you to tell me that it didn't work. I'll leave the video here. I hope this helped, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.